Your visibility isn't broken, and neither are you. You're not really invisible. You're just not completely aligned. And today we're going to talk about how you can really truly align with the real true essence and purity of who you are and make the difference in this world that only you can make. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, an international best-selling author of 37 books and counting. I've had the wonderful privilege of working with just about 5,000 people now, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. But the real key to what I do is I help you, that's right, you, become visible and valuable. I show you how to be clear, consistent, and connected. And that starts inside of you. Clarity is powerful. Without clarity, we'll never really truly make the difference in this world that only you can make. Without that powerful clarity, we tend to kind of wander around aimlessly. It's sad, really. And it's not the way that it's intended to be, but it does end up being the way that we end up being because we're misaligned. It's not that we're not passionate about, and I need to be really clear about this today. It's not that you're not passionate about the thing that you're doing, and it's not that you aren't an expert. You are absolutely amazing at the thing that you're doing. And you have been always. And all of this feeling of less than, the imposter syndrome, the feeling, the sense that you can't get the traction that you know you're meant for, all of that is a lie of the world. It's a lie that has been bought into by all of us, and it allows us to get just a little askew. You see, if you were way off, you'd know it, you'd feel it. Like for example, if you're a Christian and you're worshiping Satan, you would know that's off, and you would be totally avoiding that. If you're a vegetarian and somebody offers you a juicy hamburger, it especially if you've been a vegetarian for a really long time, that's an easy no. To get us completely misaligned from who we truly are is very tough to do. But to get us just a little off kilter, that's really easy. And the problem is that when we go up just a little bit off, so here's straight and we're just a little bit off, when it goes out further and further and further and further and further, we do end up way far away from us. I had a friend of mine that used to always tell teens that he was working with, he'd say, the problem with lying is that it's a gateway drug, basically. Because if you'll lie in the right circumstances, then why wouldn't you steal in the right circumstances? Which then leads to you would kill in the right circumstances. And he said, there may be times, like, for example, if you were a soldier and you were in a war, you might actually end up killing, and that's a little different. But most of the time, it doesn't have to do with, a career that we've chosen that puts us into doing things that are against our character. It's these little tiny steps. It's the little tiny shifts that disalign us. I don't know if disalign is actually a word, but it works really well with the heart and soul and pure you that is you. And pretty soon, like you said, it's just this little tiny minimal thing, and it starts going off, and before you know it, it's completely off the screen because it just keeps pulling away further and further. And you stop one day and you wonder, why am I not reaching the people that I'm meant to reach? Why don't I feel aligned with what I'm doing? Why do I feel like I'm banging my head up against the wall? Why am I not getting the traction that other people that I see are getting? Okay, now there's two reasons why those other people, a couple others possibly, but two main reasons why those people are getting the traction that you're not getting. Number one is the possibility that they're really truly working in the heart and soul and core and passion of who they are. They are doing that thing because that is who they are. When they show up, they're just that way, and then they've aligned that into their messaging and the things they do in the world. The other possibility is that they've stumbled onto a trend that is working really well for them. The problem with following a trend is you can make a ton of money with a trend. Like right now, we're in another stage, and I was in this stage with the internet back in the days of what we used to call the dot bomb. There was a real boom before there was the bomb. It was a gold rush, literally. In back in the late '90s, especially when you start looking at like '97-ish, maybe '98 too. People were throwing money, ridiculous amounts of money at every internet idea that anybody came up with, because in the investment community, they knew that if 1 out of 10 investments they made hit, it would more than quadruple the amount of money that they had put into all 10 of those investments combined. It was blowing up that much. And we're seeing that same kind of thing happening in the world and in the space of AI and AI generated things. And if you can add the word AI to whatever you're doing, people immediately are like, oh, well, it's got an AI involved in it. And there's a lot of things that we've done for many, many years. It's been interesting, some of the interviews that I've done with people, and it's like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess that technically is an artificial intelligence, a learned model, system kind of a situation that is, that fills in things for us and those kind of things. And there's a lot of those that we've been using for, more than 10 years and not even thought of it as the word AI, but now they're coming out and they're calling it their AI. This is our AI assisted. This is our AI solution. And because of that, they're getting traction because it's a trend. Now, because I've been down the road, and that's not saying that I don't have some really cool AI things, that my phone is just blowing up. Holy cow, let's turn off this ringer so that, we can have just a little bit of peace while we're talking here. Oh my goodness. That's just crazy. I've been down this road before a couple of times, but especially in internet space. And what I can tell you is that, yes, right now, and yes, you need to look at AI, and yes, it is going to have a ongoing long-term impact on our lives, just like the internet did. I mean, there were a lot of people back then that were like, I don't know about this internet thing. I don't know if it's going to last. And now, I mean, heck, can you imagine the world without the internet? Not really, right? The same thing's true with AI, and it's going to be that way. But what is also going to happen is the investment community will make a ton of money, and then they'll move on to something else. There'll be another innovation, okay? And when you're like I am, and your brain kind of operates in that space that's ahead of the bleeding edge of technology, if you will, and I just kind of see those kind of things and think that way. I don't know why. I don't get it in my own mind, but it just kind of how I see things. I can tell you already, there's another next thing coming. And eventually there will be an AI bomb, just like there was a dot bomb, just like there was a dot boom, there was an internet boom and then it blew up and then it came back around, and it's had several revolutions actually. The same thing's been true if you think about crypto. When crypto first came out, I heard about it. I totally poo-pooed it. I'm so mad at myself. I heard about it when it was about 1/10 of 1 cent to buy one Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, when I looked at it yesterday, was trading at about $104,000 per coin. So if you do the math on that and you take, say, $100 at 10 cents, at 1/10 of 1 penny, meaning that a penny would get you 10 Bitcoin and a dollar would get you 1,000 Bitcoins. So let's not even use $100. Let's say $10. $10 would have gotten you 10,000 Bitcoins back then, and nobody was buying them. Okay. Nobody would have, I'm not even sure there was a system in place that I could have spent the $10 to get it. That was just what its par value was back in those early days. And then it's gone way up, and it's dropped way back down. It went up to 17, and then it dropped down to 7, and then it went up to 35, and it dropped back down to about 18 or 20, and it went up to 50, and then it dropped down to 35. And it does those kind of things. That's just the nature of investable situations. And we're in that same place now. So yeah, that person may be following, and you may be able to make a lot of money there, but it's only going to last for a lifetime, for the span of your whole career. If you're adding those kind of things in to the core of who you are, if you're learning how to, back in those days, learning how to make the internet be a part of what you do, and putting out one of the first websites, having an email address, doing those kind of things when nobody had them, that's a good use of technology. That isn't you trading in who you are to become a web developer. That's you staying in your lane and having a website added on it, to get to a place where, you will accept crypto, Bitcoin, or whatever in payment is something that you probably already should have thought of. And if you have it, you definitely do, because there's a lot of it out there now. And you need to have the processes in place. That doesn't mean that you need to hijack your whole career and become a crypto trader. It means that you need to understand that that's a payment option that you need to embrace. Same thing's true with AI. There are tools and solutions that you need to use in your business. Things like, you hear me talk about Descript that I'll use for this long video and cut it down into a 5 to 30-second video. And it's one of my favorite AIs that I love doing. There's some great ways to make images and things like that, or to use AI to create a transcript from, like, say, for example, this video that I'm doing right now, pop it into Riverside FM, or, when it uploads to YouTube, which is one of the places I'm streaming live to right now, they're going to have their AI system create the transcript for it. And that's super cool. I love those kind of things. And you absolutely need to add those to your things. But the problem is, for all of us, myself included, okay, all the fingers are pointing me. I'm not pointing my finger at you at all. But we get mildly misaligned because we chase that thing. I see it all the time with authors when I help them. Because I can tell you, once you become a best-selling author, somebody's going to come to you and say, hey, wow, you became a best-selling author. Tell me how you did it. And if you, for example, hired me to do it, the answer to that really should be, well, I hired Steve and he did it for me. What most of them, and I understand it totally, I've probably even been in this place myself, they see dollar signs. Oh, wow, this person, I could show them, how I wrote the book and how I did this thing and how I did that thing and this community that I was in and that thing. And they create a whole new program to teach people how to be best-selling authors, how to write their book, how to do those kind of things. It's not the core and passion. And now, I'm not saying you may be somebody that is a passionate writer. I have 37 books because one of the things I'll do in the evenings after I come back to my room is I'll write another book. And I can write a book in a day to 3 to 5 days. That's not saying that all of them come out. I could probably literally be in a place where I was putting out a new book every week. A, I'm busy promoting other people's books, and B, it's not really, it would be me being just slightly misaligned and going way off course, because I need to be here to help you understand how to align yourself so that when you then are aligned, you can then be clear, first of all, to you. You see, it's not that you're not powerful. It's not that you're not amazing. It's that you're just a little bit off, or you were just a tiny bit off and you veered way off. And it's time to realign. It's time to know clearly, this is my passionate purpose in the world. This is who I am. Clearly, truly, wholly, fully, for a whole lifetime. This is how it continues to show up in my life. When I was 5, I did these things. When I was 15, I did these things. When I was 25, I did these things. When I was 35, I did these things. All of those things may be a different show up. Okay. I've been a sales and marketing company, literally, I mean, really, actually, since I was 5. I did my first sales job when I was 5, going door to door, selling greeting cards and holiday napkins, going to the very same houses that my brothers had already gone to, that they told me don't go there. They already said no. And I was just too cute and ornery to listen to my big brothers. I've been that way my whole life, still there. You can ask either of them. They'll tell me, yeah, he doesn't listen to us ever at all. And I would go up there. And, when you're selling at 5, it's just totally the power of cuteness. You don't have to have any sales capability at all. They just hate to tell this cute little kid no. And so, they find something that's like $1 and they buy it from you. When you're 5, $1, especially when you're 5 in, I would have been 5 in like 1972. $1 in 1972 was a lot of money. And, let's be honest, when you're 5, $1, I don't care if it's 2025 or you're listening to this 10 years from now, $1 when you're 5 is still a lot of money, But yeah, I mean, I came back from that with a pocket full of money and an empty bag of the things that I had been selling, and I was hooked. By the time I was 19, I was a sales manager. That doesn't mean that what I should be online doing is teaching you how to sell. I've done that. It's been a way that I've shown up in the world. But the pure, true passion of who I am and how I show up in the world is to be here, to be the beacon, to show you where the spotlight is that you need to step into. You see, often the spotlight, if you were on stage, a spotlight operator, I've done that. I've even done it for some pretty high-end performers. The spotlight operator's job is to make sure that the spotlight is on you. That's their job. Okay, in the stage of life, our job is to know clearly our clear, true, real, honest, complete, total, genuine. Do you hear me going on a little bit too much? Passion and purpose, so that we can step into the spotlight that is the heart and soul and core of who we really truly are. You see, what we want to do is stand over to the far side of the stage on something that we maybe even are really great at, but it isn't the center of the stage. You see, when you're the star, you need to be front and center stage. Boom, both spotlights on you. The whole crowd captivated by what you're doing and saying. But when you're way over right by the curtain, kind of peeking your head out from the side of the curtain, doing something that maybe you're really great at, but isn't the center of who you are, or something that's really popularly trendy. Remember, we said that one. And because of that, the spotlight isn't on you and nobody's seeing you. People are like, I hear this voice and it sounds like it's coming from almost off stage. And maybe you're completely off the stage. Maybe you're completely out of the building, singing out in the parking lot a really beautiful song that may actually be expressing some of who you are, but isn't expressing it in the way that is clear to clearly express who you are. And the first rule of management is manage yourself. The first customer to your clarity, consistency, And connection is you called out in the hallway. That's right. And we're screaming really loud, and we're hoping that people in the auditorium can hear our loud voice out in the hallway over the orchestra. We're not near the mic, nothing. Now, I went to a really cool concert way back in the day. This is like in the early 90s. John Cougar Mellencamp. I think by then he had totally transitioned to just being John Mellencamp. The lead guitar player for his band did this thing where he disappeared from stage and ran around somehow and was way back in the auditorium. And he did his whole guitar solo walking back down through the crowd and back up to the stage. But you see, the speakers didn't move. The soundboard didn't move. The spotlights didn't move. And he didn't change the song. He didn't take a John Mellencamp song and play AC/DC instead because, after all, he was out in the parking lot or down the hallway. He still played the same song they were playing, hit every lick and every note, played because, let's face it, when you go to a concert, you don't care if there are times when the lead guitar player goes beyond what he does on the album. But at some point, what you really just want to hear is your favorite song. You're not really there to hear the drummer go on and do an hour and a half drum solo. You don't want to hear, the lead guitar player play, arpeggios on, and some of you aren't musicians, so you don't know what an arpeggio is. That's okay. On the guitar for an hour and a half. You don't want the lead, and I know there are some artists that are in this realm right now, but you don't want the lead singer to tell you their particular political views or their latest kind of thing. I know there's some artists like Bono and stuff like that have done some amazing things for a particular thing, but the whole tour was AIDS research in the case of Bono, and you knew going into that he was going to drive at the heart and soul and core of that, because it was outflow of who he was, and it was something you were expecting at the concert. You didn't expect something off in left field, the person out in the hallway. And often that person out in the hallway may be singing the song even more beautifully than the lead singer on stage is singing it. They may be hitting every note, even the ones that the lead singer who's been singing the same song for the last 200 days straight and his voice is all hoarse, the notes that he missed. But nobody except for the guy that had to sneak out to go to the bathroom heard that janitor singing that song. And that's a shame, because that janitor needs to be on stage. Whether it's a cover band covering that song or he's got his own stuff and he's amazing the world and changing the world with his clear passion and purpose. You see, even that guy out in the hall, as amazing as he is or she is, needs to be in center stage, in where the spotlight is. The spotlight doesn't move to where you are. Okay, like you said, when you're in a play or you're on stage and you're the lead singer, if you run around the stage, the spotlight guy has to follow you. In life, the center of the stage is where the spotlight for you being in your clear, consistent, connecting content is. And when you step into that spotlight, you're going to shine. And when you do it consistently, predictably, I'm not really trying to beat you up, Patricia. I just want to help. because what you do is amazing, absolutely incredible. And you need to be in the heart and soul and core of that passion, in that spotlight, sharing that with the world, because there's people like me that absolutely need you to do your brilliance. And as I said, and Patricia, for those of you that aren't seeing the comments that I'm seeing, Patricia is a good friend of mine and is a person that's helping me with my business. And I can tell you that once the thing that her and I are working on gets fully worked out, there is going to be some stuff in there that you absolutely are going to be in line. You're already in line wanting her service. You just don't know it. And I'm not going to throw out there things that are still in development and overwhelm her until she's ready. But I know, because I told her yesterday, I had a conversation with a person who needs exactly what her and I are working on her doing for me, because it's not something I should be doing, and she's great at it. You see, that's what your clients are screaming for, is for you to do that thing that you're so good at that you're not even doing it anymore because, new challenges, whatever the reason might be. And yeah, sometimes it's scar tissue. We do this thing and we're really good at it. I mean, that's what it was for me. The whole reason why I haven't been live is because of a whole lot of pain. Many of you that have been long-term followers of me know that, March, pretty much the day that, all of the world shut down in March in 2020, I went live. And all I was doing was just positively encouraging you. We were going to make it through this. Now I've learned I didn't, and at first it was on purpose, but mostly it was totally an accident. I didn't give you a way to engage with me. That's why I created the free Facebook group. I'm not asking for any money. I mean, there's some things that you can sign up for that are available in there, and they're at an extreme discount for the people that are in that free group. But there's also just a ton of stuff. All of these lives, all the shorts I do, all of that stuff goes into the group. And the nature of Facebook, they're more than likely going to be in the group, not to mention the fact that I can show the people in the group where they are on my YouTube, or get it to them individually and send it directly to them. But that's for you. And that was me just showing up as me. Who's Steve? Steve's the positive encourager that wants you to know how amazingly, incredibly cool you are, and to show you, here's the center of the stage. This is where the spotlight is beaming, because this is the core of who you are. And when you step in there and you sing that note that is you, because yes, absolutely, your voice is meant to be heard. And it doesn't matter what you think about your voice. The person that needs you isn't going to say, wow, they sang off key. It's funny. Some of you know I live with my mom and my brother right now. My brother and I bought this house, and then we moved our mom here. And they love shows like The Voice and America's Got Talent and things like that. The Voice drives me crazy. It's my own stuff, okay? I mean, I used to be the lead singer in a band, all right? And I had dreams of stardom that I really basically hijacked myself. And we don't want to go off on that tangent, especially not this late in the conversation. But it's a tough show for me to watch. And I'm hyper critical of most of the people that get really rave reviews from the judges, because I hear the notes they miss. I see the stuff that as a professional musician you see, and they're being in that place of being a positive encourager and having a good show. And if they critique the people at the level that they would in their private time, nobody would be on the show. There'd be nobody in the competition. They just, AGT, they just all four of them ring the buzzer every time, and the show would be over in episode 1 because nobody would have made the cut. And how fun would that show be, right? But for my mom and my brother, who neither one of them, are or ever were or had ever even dreams of being in that realm, they can be amazed by the people that I'm like going, oh man, they sing off key again. Because they're tuning into something totally different. They're hearing something that they're not trained to make. The slight shift to another octave to avoid a note. Yes, and if you can hit that high note, hit that high note. And if you can't, you don't have to be Prince. There are some songs that he sings that, those notes are up there. That doesn't mean that you don't have a song to be sang. That doesn't even mean that you couldn't bring it down 2 octaves if you need to and sing a Prince song, because that's the song that you're meant to sing in your style. Hi, No Leah, I'm glad you're here with us too. You see, that spotlight is on, and you are fully trained right now, this second, not tomorrow, not after you take another class, not next week, not next month, not next year. You are fully trained right now to be 100% absolutely perfect at being you. The replays are here for you anytime, No Leah, and that goes for everybody else. Okay, I've got them out there on purpose for you, because I know that this is a work day. It happens to be my lunch hour, but I know it isn't for some of you. But I want you to hear this really clearly. You are perfect right now. You are absolutely perfectly the perfect you that you are right now. You'll be better tomorrow, next week, next month, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You'll know more, learn more. You'll make mistakes. You'll overcome them, all of those kind of things. But the you that is you today, there's a verse, and yes, this is actually a Bible verse that says, maximizing while it's called today. Today is the only day that we've got. Yesterday's gone. You can apologize for mistakes you've made. You can learn from the things that you did in all of the yesterdays for your whole life, but you can't relive them. And tomorrow, as my good friend Ernie Villanueva always said, tomorrow's a promissory note. Tomorrow is a blessed coming that isn't here yet, that we can prepare for, but we can't live in. We cannot spend tomorrow today. And I know a lot of us try to live, as the old song from Secret of My Success says, 25 hours a day. But there's still only just 24. And we can squeeze all that we can squeeze out of today, but it still isn't going to give us tomorrow until we get to tomorrow. Yes, you're the perfect me right now. I love it that you can hit all the hard notes on songs like Dream On, but you have problems with the easy notes. Just be you. Jump into the song on those high notes, on those hard notes, on those notes that everybody else skips, and just sing your notes. Some of you may be familiar with a band, called Kool and the Gang. They sang songs like September and Celebration and songs like that. What some of you may not know is there were 2 very dissimilar, essentially lead singers for that group. You had Philip Bailey, and I can't remember the other guy's name right now. Philip Bailey, who was singing in the rafters all the time. He was singing soprano. Forget high tenor. He was singing soprano, okay? And back in the day, there were many of those notes I could hit. Don't even ask me to try now. And the other guy was singing a really rich, beautiful tenor. Without the two of them together, all of those songs, if you're familiar with them, wouldn't be what they are without Philip way up there and the other guy down on his level. You needed that. You know, in 4-part harmony, the guy singing bass isn't any better than the first tenor. I have a buddy of mine that's a beautiful baritone. He has the most beautiful baritone voice. And really, honestly, you know, every time I think about having somebody do voiceovers for my books, I think, you know, I really want to get Greg to do the voiceovers because he has such a beautiful voice. But then I have to remind myself, if he does the audio for my book and somebody hires me based on the, wow, listen to that guy's voice. You know, I'm a first tenor. Well, I'm probably more like a second tenor these days. Lost a few notes off at the top because I haven't spent the time in the studio like I used to. But if I had him speak for me, people would expect when I came on stage to speak like him and not be like me. This is me. You know, we've been on for 36 minutes and 23 seconds, and I'm still full of steam and I'm ready to go. And I'm still up here because you can hear that high tenor in my voice. You can probably guess that, yes, there have been times when I picked up the phone and they said, "Hi, is your husband there?" Because I've got that high squeaky voice. I used to hate it. I used to not want to be me, but then I embraced it. Because there's also a whole bunch of notes that I've hit live from stage. My lead guitar player told me one time, he goes, "You can't get any higher." He goes, "Because there isn't a note I can stretch on my guitar without completely restringing the whole entire thing and tuning it to a totally different key. There is not a higher note on this guitar." No, I'm not there anymore. And being a lead singer wasn't the heart and soul and core of my passion, because then what shined through when I was on stage was how much I cared about the people in the audience. And that resonated and connected with them. And I was really there. And every song that I've ever written was about how you can be the best you that you can be while it's called today. And that shows up true in every book that I write. You know, whether it's a kid's book or it's a romance book, you know, I'm going to go deep. You put me in a room, you know, like one of Lisa Nichols' events, and, you know, she's like, "All right, share with people." You know, I mean, most people share at like level 1. I dive right down to level 10. You know, I'm just like, here's the deep stuff, you know. Let's get all the deep stuff out of the way and let's change the world. Let's get there right now together. Oh yeah, I mean, in audio engineering, there's all kinds of cool things you can do, and it can take takes and takes and takes and retakes, and sometimes you do it all in once. You know what's the best take in the world is when somebody just does what they're just really, really good at. Ask any good sound engineer, you can tell when the person's in the flow. There's some videos. I challenge you to go, or you know, I encourage you really to go onto YouTube and watch some of the videos of Prince just sitting down to the piano and writing a song, just, you know, right there on the spot. And some of the most beautiful songs. And you know, and I happen to have loved a lot of Prince's stuff, most all of it. But some of the most beautiful songs he's ever written, they never went anywhere other than just he was on the piano. I don't know if they were tuning it or doing sound check or whatever. And he was just feeling inspired. And he was just, you know, playing away, saying what was on his mind. I've had people tell me when I've felt like some of these lives, like I'm just ranting, that it was exactly what they needed. Because this is just me being me. I'm right in the core of who I am and what I'm doing. We will monetize this. We do have the free Facebook group for you to come and join. Not because I need to hardcore pitch you, not because I'm hoping that you will come in and join my free group because I need you to be in my free group. I want you to be, because I want to see you make the impact in the world that only you can make. And I want to show you where that center stage, where both spots come together and they illuminate you, and you're seen and you're heard and you're making an impact. Because I know from that, you're going to get paid and you're going to make the difference in this world that only you can make. I have notes over here, and you notice I didn't look at them at all. You can tell the more that I'm in my passion, because it'll be the more that I'm looking at you. And every once in a while, I'll distract myself and I'll look down at the comments people are making. I love being here for you. This is who I am and what I do. You do your part. It's on God's side of the fence to make sure that it's blessed. And if you're truly filling the place that only you can place, it absolutely will be blessed. And I think that's the perfect place for us to end today. You need to align with you, be in the center of the spotlight, and be the you that only you can be, and make the difference in this world that only you can make. And guess what? Let me be the first one to thank you for doing it. I'm so glad we got time to be together here today. You're very welcome, Nolia. Thank you, Patricia. And for everybody that's listening on the replay, thank you for you too. And thanks for making the difference in this world. Till we're together again next time, have a great week.